All right, everybody, we are live. Took us a few minutes. We had some technical difficulties in there, but we are here. And I don't know where Francine just went. I think I just booted her out. Let me message her real quick. Join again. All right. While I'm trying to figure that out, I'm going to talk for a few minutes while we're waiting for some people to get in here. We are going to be chatting today with Francine Durnford. We're going to be going over some common issues that not exclusive to women, but more common with women. And these are things: struggles with gaining weight, not feeling like you're building muscle when you're bulking. That's common for everybody. Feeling fluffy, common for everybody, but more of a problem with women. Not feeling confident in the gym, which again, everybody, but typically more women. Quest for leanness, feeling too lean, feeling weak. We're going to talk about all these things with Francine and go over this. So these are all things that we'll cover. Real quick, if anybody is interested in coaching, you can go to macrosinc.net/services, and that will get you info on coaching with us. If you're watching on YouTube, you can join our Facebook group. Go to Facebook. It's in the comments. We have 32,000 members right now. Free group, great group. We all help out. So that is it. You guys, we are going to have questions. It's not going to be the standard Q&A that I do. It's not going to be ask me a question about protein muscle synthesis. If you have one and we're trying to kill time, go ahead. But we're going to try and gear these towards around, more things that we're talking about, more dealing with how do you deal with this. If you do have a question, I'll deal some. I'm going to field them to Francine, and we will handle it like that. So right now I'm going to add in Francine Durnford, one of our moderators and one of my very first Macros Inc. coaching client. So let's see, is she here? Welcome, Francine.
Hey, how's it going?
So it's going good now that we got all those technical problems figured out and you're not ready to kill me. We were trying 2 computers, 3 web browsers, phones. I think some got thrown at her end. So
the only reason you're not dead is because you're there and I'm here.
Yeah, we're in Newfoundland, and I am all the way in Chicago. So, guys, if you have any questions while we're talking, go ahead. So, Francine, real quick, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody? For anybody who does not know you, you are a moderator here, so go ahead.
All right, I'm Francine Durnford, and I'm lucky enough to be one of Jay's clients. Like he said, I was one of his actually first clients, right, Jay?
Yeah, my very first.
Yeah.
Very first.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm living in Newfoundland. I'm a teacher. Got really involved with weightlifting through Jay and his coaching, and now directed my attention more towards powerlifting. So excited to see where that's going to take me.
Good, yeah. And you've been quite the powerlifter. You're 40 pounds shy of the Newfoundland record for squat right now. So I think that's what it was off the top of my head. So we're doing pretty good with that. Your first powerlifting meet is coming up. When is it?
April 7th.
April 7th. I am flying to Newfoundland for it, so it's going to be quite the adventure. So it's going good. So let's. Well, thank you, and thanks for coming, and thanks for talking about this. Not everything we're talking about is it's things that people don't talk about often. It's not that comfortable for everybody. It's things that everybody has dealt with, and I don't think people talk about it enough. So this is my first kind of like interview style thing. So we'll see how this goes. So we do have some fun stuff to talk about. The first thing that I want to jump in is like kind of where we started working together and what your goal was. So when we started working together, your original goal was to get as lean as you can. I believe that's actually what you said. I want to be as lean as possible.
Yeah, how that changes.
Does that sound about right?
That's exactly what happened to begin with, and I realized once I got to that point, that's not where I wanted to be at all.
Yeah.
So I reached my goals, but then I don't know. I guess it just took a different direction because, unfortunately, we're never satisfied with what we accomplish. But sometimes goals change. Depending on what knowledge we gain and what direction we're led to. Through you, I obviously gained a lot of different knowledge about what direction I could go in. So I kind of ran with that. And it's something that now my goals are completely different.
Yeah, they're way different. And I'm going to show the photo of right now, and this is going to be up on the screen. And this is this is actually before you started with me in August 20th. 2016, and then it will be. Let's make that. So, no, it's the only thing on the screen. You can't see that, can you?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I told you I was going to do this. The left is August 2016, 170 pounds or 77 kilos. And then after working with me, we got you down to that 144. And how tall are you, Francine?
5'8".
5'8". That's 173 centimeters for everybody. So that we got you down to 144 or 65 kilos. And when we got you there, which way did I want to go with that? Let's go this way. So when I got you there, how'd you feel with it?
There's times I didn't even recognize myself. I've never been that lean. Even as a teenager, I've never been that lean. And, you get a lot of different reactions, from people. I heard everything from, you're too small, why would you want to be that small? Are you going to stop losing weight? What are you doing starving yourself? All these comments that were coming to me. And, I don't know, some of you may know, but I also have a twin sister. So, it was difficult for her because she's like, what are you doing? Why are you continuing with this? But I knew it wasn't going to be my ultimate goal. So, I mean, that's part of dealing with, this is one of the issues that, especially, I don't know if it's just women, but certainly, specifically for women, when you lose weight. And I think you experienced it too, didn't you, Jay? Where people were saying, you're too small, you're too skinny, you should gain more weight,
Yeah, I think when I was in prep, actually, anytime I diet, it's actually started happening to me now, and I'm 183 pounds still. And but yeah, when I was in prep, I think everybody in prep has gotten you're too lean. You look, are you sick? Are you eating?
Yeah.
Everybody gets those. Who was I just talking about with that the other day? Suzanne Mays just said the same thing. She said she started to get, you're not eating enough, you're getting too lean. And it's because people see you day to day, but yeah, you do get lean. And in your mind, I mean, were you ever too lean in your mind?
I mean, it felt good. It felt really good to be able to wear absolutely anything I wanted. I'd go into a dressing room and I was wearing clothes that I didn't wear when I was, I don't know, 15 years old. I didn't wear clothes that small. So it felt good. It felt good to know that I had set my mind to something and I achieved it. But then when I look in the mirror, as, some people would say, I'd love to be that size, but that was not what I was the typical person that thought I was going to diet down and have like this awesome physique and like full of muscle and
exactly. And that's what we had talked about before. And you said, you did say before this, and just from talking to you 18 hours a day, every day, for anybody who doesn't know, I talk to Francine all day, every day, pretty much. You like the way your clothes fit. And for a guy, for me, it was actually the opposite. I hated how I looked with my clothes on, because I was so small. But when I am very lean, like my shirt was off every 40 seconds for any excuse because I was ripped and you look bigger when you're leaner. But but for a woman, it's different. And you can see in that picture, let me put it back up. You can see, you're lean in there. I mean, there is not a lot of muscle. And then after working with you, we decided to bulk. So let's go into a bulk. So that was August to November. So we went from 144 to 163. Now, that is a more weight gain than we'd like. And there were some issues when we started bulking. So what happened? What happened when we first started the bulk?
All right, so September the 1st, my birthday, was when we decided I was going to start bulking. And the feeling was indescribable. It was something that I felt like I had no control over my eating whatsoever. Like I had it in my mind, I'm going to follow Jay's advice. I'm going to do this the right way. And then everything just went off the rails. There was no following macros. I've, lightly, loosely, however you want to put it, followed macros, but I damn well ate pretty much whatever I wanted. Yeah. And it was like it wasn't just because I don't know what it was. I had no control of it. Like I actually felt like I was hungry all the time. I could not get enough food at all.
Yeah.
And you remember you gave me that week and you said, listen, for this whole week, I want you to go and eat whatever you want, but eat, as you get hungry.
Yeah.
And after that week, I didn't need it anymore. It was so weird. It was a real a mental mind block, like crazy.
Yeah, and one of the things, and I went through this after my contest in 2015, and I think most competitors do. Most people after a diet, and this is why it's so important after you're done dieting to go up to maintenance, and because we both agreed with this. I felt like I was going to run out of food. Like there's no, oh my God, I have to eat all this today because it's not going to be here tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it became an issue for a lot of people, and this is why I always think that bulking is harder than dieting because
absolutely
freedom. And the downside to it is you put that weight on during a bulk, it doesn't come off. Like if you have a slip up or you have 2 bad days in a row or an off week when dieting, guess what? You're back to dieting and you lose the weight. If you have an off day when you're bulking, that weight stays on until you diet again. So you're not going to be able to lose it. So it is kind of an issue that you see, and it's common. I mean, it wasn't just you. So after a while, we got everything under control. We were still bulking. We were okay. You're still comfortable with where you were. So let me throw this back up here. And we were at November, we were at 163. And then that was the end of the bulk. We got you up to 163 or 74 kilos. And then we did a mini cut because you said, hey, I'm going to be going to Mexico. And this was planned ahead of time. We were going to do a 4-week cut. You were in a good place with food at that time. You were hitting your macros at that time. I think for at least a month, for a solid month, you had been gaining at the appropriate rate. We dropped, or a couple of weeks, about a month. We dropped you down. We did a mini cut, and we got you down to 158 pounds or 71 kilos for Mexico. And there's a pretty good difference there with just that 5-pound difference.
Yeah, a little less fluffier.
Yeah, exactly. And then let me show everybody what the end result in Mexico was at 158 pounds. And it's the front double bicep Francine showing off the Macros Inc. And that's, I mean, this Francine on the right here, the 144 Francine, did not have those guns. I mean, you had some muscle, you have some muscle on you, and it simply came from bulking. And the last thing I want to show is, and how did Mexico? I mean, there's a video going around, not going around. I have seen it. I tried to get her to give it to me, but she did not send it. Of you winning an arm wrestling competition against
men. And well, there's 2 women, and so I beat those. I bet those, and then I had to go. It was mostly men, so in order to kind of move on, I had to go against guys. So I beat like 2 guys, and I'm not talking little skinny dudes. I'm talking like I was impressed as hell.
Yeah, and he was pretty pissed. I've seen the video. He was not happy that he lost at all. Maybe we convince your sister to send me that video again, and I can.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's got all the goods.
Yeah, I know.
For bribery.
The minute you guys finished, the minute you were done in Mexico, or the minute it happened, I think she texted to me. She's like, "Look at what I was getting on an airplane and was hoping it would download faster than I could." Before the plane left. And then the last thing I want to show is what your weight losses looked like. Now, this is not, we switched tracking systems. So this is since April 24th of last year. Oh no, I did go back. I think I put them all in. So this is your weight history. Let me see if I can make this just a little bigger. There we go. So that's your weight history. So we are looking everywhere. I mean, it's gone up, down. We've had hikes. If you look over December towards the right side, there's that big spike. That was when you were in Mexico and home. I think that was a 2-week trip, a 2-week time where you were just kind of tracking and stuff. But you came back down. You came back to a good level. You enjoyed yourself. You were where you wanted to be. And now we're slowly letting weight drift up. We're doing good. Again, there's a big spike there. That's when you were in Toronto for a week. But you're living life and enjoying it, and you don't have an obsession with food. And where am I here? Okay, and one of the things that I wanted to show that helped you, some people have seen them in the group, some have not, are these big, giant-ass refeed days that we do. And
yes.
I think this is, and it's not a refeed in the traditional sense. We call it a refeed because it's a high-calorie day. But now Francine is currently still bulking. We're done. When are we done? April 9th?
No, well, after that week when you leave. So April, maybe 10th or so, yeah.
Well, okay, perfect. So we're going to keep bulking into a powerlifting competition because it's our first one. So we're not trying. We're in the middle of a weight class. We're just going to sit in that weight class and just go 9 for 9 for it, for anybody who's wondering. But she does these high calorie days. So she was having a problem where she was, felt restricted still during a bulk. I can't get enough food in. I can't get this. I feel like even on bulking calories, I'm never going to get to eat food. So what we did is we took away like 150 calories per day. My cat's meowing in the background, so you might hear him. We took away 150 calories a day and put them into one giant ass high calorie day for her. And how many calories a day do you get that day?
Over 3,000.
Over 3,000. And how many are you eating on your other days?
About 1980.
1980. So you're eating good calories for someone your size to begin with, and now you're at over 3,000, and you're gaining at about 0.25%.
Proper rate. Yeah, we're doing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gaining at about 0.25% per week. You're lifting better than ever. You're still new to powerlifting. You're just a strong human being. You're adding weight to the bar regularly, and this is an average. This is what your days have looked like. This was what did we say? It was about 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
So it was McDonald's fries, a big plate of nachos.
Jesus, Jay.
What?
Okay.
I mean, that looks amazing. I would eat that every day.
That's my Thursday night. Every night, every Thursday. It's like all in, all or nothing.
So, but my point is, you're getting these things, and you message me, 2 sleeps left until I get down to here. 1 sleep left, and it's what you work forward to, and I mean,
it works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have this amazing coach-client relationship, friendship, and we tell each other pretty much everything. And you would completely tell me if you went off the rails. And I mean, I want this, and now I'm going to work my ass off in the gym so that I earned it on Thursday. And it's really, to me personally, it's made a difference. I've actually, after doing it with you, I've put it in with several other clients. I have clients I believe it's Katie. I think it's Katie Walker. I'd have to look at her info. Who has them 2 days a week. She has them on the weekends. So she has 2 high days, not as high as yours, but they're still high, and it does help. Stuff like that really makes a difference.
Friday morning at the gym are pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's all those carbs from those fries.
Yeah.
Now how's the scale look on Friday? You do this high.
This is the lovely part. Every Friday morning. I mean, some people would really struggle with this, and I did initially as well, but it's all part of the process. Like now when I get on the scale, it's at least 3, 4, sometimes 5 pounds more than Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And that took me a while because, I was starting to almost want to decrease my calories or have a cheat day, quote unquote cheat day, where I was still eating foods that wouldn't do that. And I was like, heck no. That's not the point of what I want to do. I want to eat the food that I want to eat, and I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend the whole week looking forward to it. And if it got to be the same stuff I eat all week, then it's pointless, right? It's not going to fix that craving.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you have just killed it. And it was an easy solution that we tried before. It wasn't. You weren't binging and having 6 pints of peanut butter or anything, but it was definitely derailing your goals because you couldn't find the motivation to track really anymore, and this kind of re-got it. So, I mean, just amazing, super proud of you, and it's just such a great thing. So we got a bunch of comments, bunch of stuff coming in. Guys, if you have comments or questions, write them down. We have other topics to talk about if we don't have questions for Francine, for me, whatever. So if you have them, write them down, and we'll keep going. So we got a bunch of highs. Jackie Roth says hi, says yay. Eleanor Reed says hi. Jackie Roth says that's right about something we talked about earlier. Joey says shout out to my macro maniacs. Heather, hi. Missy says hi. Chad, Tanya Hollis says hi. Thanks for doing this, Francine.
No problem.
Georgia Bergen says, when you're bulking, do you have weeks where you just need to take some weight off the bar even when you do a deload? Typically, I mean, during a deload, if you do a proper deload, you should keep the weight and the intensity the same. You should just decrease the total volume for the week. So cut your sets in half. There's always going to be times where you can't add more weight. So let's say I'm curling 100 pounds, a barbell curl 100 pounds for 3 sets of 10, but I just can't get to 105. So I'm actually going to drop down to 95 and do 3 sets of 12. And I'll do that for 2 weeks, and then I'll reset my progression. Let's see. Leslie says, anxious to hear all about this. I'm interested in the gaining while bulking, over the mental part of gaining, and what is to expect when I cut. So how hard was it to get over that mental aspect of actually regularly seeing the scale go up, Francine?
I think, surprisingly, I think a lot of people will be shocked to hear that the dieting part, when you get to that point when you need to diet, initially you might have a hesitation in dropping calories because you're going to miss the food a little bit. But I feel like most women especially are going to get to the point where, okay, I'm ready for this. You know, I feel enough fluff on my stomach. I feel enough in my butt. My jeans are getting tight, all these things. And it's almost like now that you've worked so hard to build the muscle, now you're ready to do that cut and see what you've accomplished. You know, and the only way to do that is to get rid of the fat, diet down, and see what's left. You know, and that is it's every single step of this is it's a mental thing. It's okay, I know I need to do this. You know, what direction am I going to take to get there? And what's the next step? So when you tell me that I need to eat more to build muscle, damn it, I'm going to eat more. You know, if I need to lift heavy, I'm going to lift heavy, right? And you're telling me I need to diet down to see the muscle gain, then that's what got to be done.
No, and I agree, and that's what you do. You say, what do I need to do? Yeah. And then you always say, but why am I doing it? I'm going to do it, but why am I doing it? Yeah. And then, you know, building on Leslie's question, when, you know, because I have most of my clients are female, and I have actually a lot of clients that I've been working with, we've dieted down, and now they're starting to bulk, or clients who are just trying to start to bulk. And a lot of them have a hard time, even that first pound. There's no way you'll close it tighter after 1 pound, or 2 pounds or 5 pounds. But I feel bloated. Did you hit that feeling right away where you're like, you know, I'm starting to bulk and I just feel bloated. I just can't do it.
It wasn't too bad, but remember a few weeks ago when I got back from Toronto, that was the first time that I mentioned that I felt a little bit fluffier. And you even said, you know, do you want to diet down now? And I said, no way. Like, it's not happening. Like, I didn't want to jeopardize all the progress I had made. I wanted to make sure that I want to bulk until the last absolute day that I can bulk. And same thing with my diet. I mean, I did the same thing, right? We set a date and I dieted right to that day. And for me, that's what works for me. I mean, I know there are going to be other struggles for people. People have different issues with dieting, different issues with bulking. But a lot of it you're going to see a lot of common themes for sure.
Yep. Perfect. Great. Renee Kiernan, so the powerlifter Renee Kiernan, who is unfortunately currently injured with a broken ankle, says, Francine, I absolutely love your accent.
I wonder if you guys would actually understand me or not.
Yeah, I'm ready.
He doesn't sometimes.
Ready to translate if needed. Susan says, yay. Susan Tobin says,
hey,
yay.
Susan. Actually, I need to have a shout out to Susan because Susan is actually she's the vice principal at one of the schools I teach at, and I had a conversation with Susan about the whole idea of taking a different direction with my career and possibly getting into personal training and stuff. And she was a big influence because she said, you know, this is what you love to do, and this is the direction. It's almost like I just needed some reinforcement.
Yeah.
And that conversation really went a long way.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you, Susan, for sending her over. Yeah. Molly Dignan, one of our moderators, said, I ate like a lumberjack. Competition. So that is very true, and it does happen. My dog is barking now for some reason.
She's got a funny frown.
Jackie Roth says she's killing it, Susan. They are having a conversation in these. So
these are all my hometown folks. My big supporters.
People in that town, they all know you.
When you come here, I'm going to have to put a message on Facebook and say everybody needs to come work out with us at the gym.
All 8 people in town?
Shut them.
All right. So Jordan Tapp says, how do you determine when to bulk cut and how long do you bulk for? So it depends. So for there's guidelines that first off, it's largely a visual base. You have to be comfortable. But Give me 1 second. I have guidelines written. I want to make sure I give you the right numbers. If I can find it, my stuff loads. For bulking for men, we want to get you down to, man, I can't find any of my stuff. Normally this stuff is very accessible. Nope. Yeah. For men, I would typically, you want to diet down to about 12% body fat and then bulk back up to 18% and then repeat. For women, diet down to 17% body fat and bulk back up to 22 or 23% and then repeat. Now, these are not hard numbers. These are general guidelines based on average data. If you're ready to bulk, if you're like, I'm lean, then it's time to bulk. If you feel fluffy and first off, the body fat analysis are so far off, don't even worry about them. Go by visual. That's just as good. If you are visually ready to bulk, you bulk. If you're visually ready to cut, you cut. That's what makes it important. Brittany Sin says, this is so inspiring. Thank you, Brittany. We were talking earlier about this. I'm glad you made it. Dylan Miller says, good shit, friends.
Cool.
So, yep, spoken like a true Dylan Miller. Stevie says, shout out to Katie Walker, who I was talking about, who has the two high calorie days like you do. Dawn said she cannot wait for me to post about your first meet. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna try and record it, but I'm gonna be there coaching her, so I don't know. I'll be on the side or in the back.
I got somebody I know will be there for sure. I'll get them to record it.
Pretty sure everybody you know is gonna probably be there, knowing you.
Shut up.
So, Clinton Camara says, hi, handsome. Love you, Jay. So thank you. I love you too. Brianna says, my first live of this group I've watched. Excited. Welcome. We do them pretty often. This is the first one like this. Leslie, how long is a typical bulking period? So, Francine, how long have you been bulking for off the top of your head?
The goal is a minimum for me of 6 months. So we did it from September. I say we. Feels like it's definitely a team effort. I started in September, and I went right until pretty much the middle of November. That was the first part, and then I did the mini cut, and I've been bulking since January again. So it'll be upwards of 7 months by the time I'm finished. And even then, I'm not finished. That's only a short, temporary little break from it. I'll keep going as often as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, if you look at the best bodybuilders in the world, Pete Fitzgen has a really great data slide from this. Maybe I can get him to post in the group. I have it somewhere, but I just don't want to pull it up. It's the majority of the best bodybuilders spent the majority of their life in a caloric surplus. It's this quest for leanness that kills you. And if you think about it now, when Leslie, when I'm bulking somebody, I want to go for a 3 month minimum, preferably a 4 month minimum is more ideal. And then you do a 3 to 1, 3 months bulk, 1 month diet. For every 3 months you bulk, you should diet down for 1. But ideally, it's for every 4 months you bulk, you diet down for 1. But that's assuming that you're experienced with this. You're not going to go off the hinges every month. You are gaining an appropriate rate. Now, that appropriate rate is going to vary between like 0.5 to 1.25% of your body weight per month gain. So let's just go with 1%. So if you're a 145-pound person and you are gaining at 1% per month, you're gaining 1.45 pounds per month. Over a 6 month period, that would be 8.7 pounds. That's not a lot of weight. You could diet that down in a month. I guarantee you could lose 8 or 2 months, or a month and a half. So, slow and steady wins this race. And if you're really lean, putting on 8.7 pounds, and you do it slow, you're going to gain the majority of that muscle. So let's say you gain 8.7 pounds during a bulk, and then you're going to go with 4.5 pounds of that is muscle. So you're going to try and lose 4 pounds. You can do that in a month. You can do that in 2 weeks. You can lose 4 pounds of fat. So
that's a good point, Jay. Actually, the part of I'll just use, for example, my experience with, say, my clothes getting tighter. I've gained weight. It's not all fat. That's the thing. And if you can keep that in mind, if you can recognize that, like I told Jay, actually, there was a couple days this winter where I actually didn't have a coat to wear because all my coats were too small, in the shoulders. And it's not somewhere that that women would typically gain a lot of weight. But I remember I was bent over tying up my shoelace, and I actually ripped the back out of my winter coat
Yeah, yeah.
because I've gotten bigger. I mean, my shoulders are a lot broader, but I mean, there's not a lot of fat on my back or on my shoulders, but it is definitely a lot of there's definitely some muscle gain. So obviously, things are gonna start getting tight.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good point, and that I think most people don't realize. Oh, the scale's going up. Well, yeah, but you're not just gaining fat; you're gaining muscle as well, and slower will lead to less fat and more muscle gain. Ideally, let's hope for a best of 50-50. Maybe it'll be a little more. Who knows? But if you're gaining 10 pounds over a year and it's controlled, your heavy lifting, your resistance training, and we gain 5 pounds, you have to diet down 5 pounds. It's going to take you a month.
Yep.
And you do that in a month, half-assing a diet. So, slower is better for that. Perfect. Beck Gormley says hi in a little female symbol. So Tiffany says, since Francine is eating 150 calories less a day to have her cheat day, is she eating at maintenance 6 days a week and then having a massive surplus day? Yes and no. 150 for her is, even at 150, she was still in her surplus. So, if you did it by a textbook, probably not. She'd probably be 50 calories over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but remember that a surplus or deficit isn't defined as one day. I could eat 0 calories for 6 days and 10,000 calories for one day, and would I be in a surplus? No, I'd be dieting. If I ate 5,000 calories for 3 days, 15,000 in a week, and then didn't eat for the rest of the week, I'd lose weight. So it's big picture things. So we need to look at all that. Betsy, can women use mini cuts during a bulking period the same way bulking men do? Francine, did it work for you?
Absolutely. If I had to go to Mexico, for example, during Christmas, feeling the way I was without that little mini cut in there, I would not be as confident as I was going there. It was hard. And even though I only lost like 5-6 pounds for that mini cut, but I felt like a million times better, like a million times.
Yeah, and that 5 pounds, I think, really it showed really in your collarbones and in your upper body. I think is really where it made a big difference. But seeing the scale go 5 pounds, that for you, just from knowing you, I think that 160 barrier is that 160 number is a mental barrier. So as soon as you got below there, I think you were just feeling better.
I was good. Yeah.
Beck Gorman. Beck is bulking. Loving this bulk I'm currently doing. Learned from the best Jay. Well, thank you, Beck. I love the learnt instead of learned. I love it because it's.
You say it too. Actually, you type it.
I do.
You have.
Well, it must be it must be from talking to Beck then, or from.
Must be.
The Jamie Noyd said, "I'm walking out and listening to you guys right now." Patricia Nixon. NutriWiki has all the info too, right? So before Macros Inc., myself, Brad Morgan, Alex Stedman, and Susan Candarelli made a wiki. That was our original goal. It was just a free information source. And it's NutraWiki.org. Let me put that up on the screen here if I can figure it out. NutraWiki.org. It is not super maintained anymore. It's all up-to-date info. Most of the stuff is we just have regulated infographics and stuff now. I might port it all over to our website, but it is a great resource for everybody if you're interested. Let me see. Where were we? Nancy Guzman. I'm still trying to understand macros. After calculating my macros, how does calories come into play? Am I more concerned about macros or calories or both? Nancy, that is a great question. I'm going to give you a brief answer, but if you need some more detailed, post it in the group just because I want to keep this about just issues people are having with bulking and cutting and female lifting and things like that. Macros are calories. They're just more detailed calories. They're like the change to a dollar bill, right? I have a solid dollar bill, but I can break it down into quarters, pennies, and dimes. But they're all going to add up to that dollar, and that's what macros are. We just get a little more detailed so that way we can get exact change and determine where that's going to go. Protein is going to help for muscle, carbs for performance, fats for overall health. And that's why we do that. But we track macros just because sometimes the apps we use don't do math correctly and they don't add up your calories. But you get a more detailed answer posted in the group, you'll hear a lot better answers. Trisha Shimmings says, hi, fellow Canadian here. We have a lot of Canadian. I have so many Canadian clients. I didn't know there were that many. In the country.
There's a lot on the group. I've added a lot of Canadians.
Yeah, I didn't know there were that many Canadians in the whole country, actually. Beck said, I've done this bulk so slow and can see the muscle growth already, but also see some fat, give and take still with it. Gone from so lean to bulking, it works wonders. It does. And everybody who's followed Beck in the group, she was one of my clients, second overall in an Australian competition for her first competition season. Did great. Was ultra lean. We started bulking, and I didn't think she'd take to it so well. She did not at first. Same issues. I don't want to gain. And now she posts the most delicious food pictures in the entire world. So good. Leslie says, this has been so incredibly informative and perfect for what I was needing to hear. Great. That is why we are doing it. Yep. I am super glad to hear that. Amanda, any tips on recovering from an improper bulk, gaining too fast? Just cut and try again properly. Do you have I have some, but if you have something to say onto this, Francine, go ahead. Otherwise, I will.
I kind of feel like that's exactly what happened to me. I kind of started off on the wrong foot. From September until November, I was kind of derailed. I gained some muscle. I gained more fat than I wanted to. Scales went up faster than it should have. But once I took that little mini cut, had my fun, went to Mexico and did my trip. I came back January and I was ready to do it all over again. And I said, this time we are doing it right. And it's been awesome ever since. It's been completely on track. The gains have been on par and definitely a better feeling. Not very often. I think it's only once that I ever said that I felt like I had gained, like in terms of fluffiness or whatnot.
Yep. Yeah. You don't say, you very rarely say anything like I feel fluffy, except for when you came back from Toronto. I think that was the first.
That's the only time. Yeah. And that's because you and I ate like loads and loads and loads of pancakes.
We did have a lot of pancakes, but I will say I was with you in Toronto, lifting with you, and you didn't seem like fluffy to me. I mean, you look like an athlete. Obviously, I'm not with you normally, so I couldn't tell you that before, but to me,
my sister was there. She's living proof. Branya, she'll tell you. She looked at Jay and I, and she said, "Cause if you eat another bite, I'm seriously gonna throw up."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she left the table because she
did. She's like, you guys are disgusting.
Yeah. We ate breakfast and then 2 stacks of pancakes, but that was the second day in a row.
Yeah. And that was after we'd eaten a regular meal.
Oh yeah, it was. Oh man. Right? Yeah. Darn lag, is it my connection? Is there lag in here or is there an actual connection? If there's lag, somebody shoot me a message on Facebook Messenger right now to let me know so I can't fix it. I just want to know. Let's see, where were we? Betsy said, thank you. We answered her question, so you're welcome, Betsy. Renee Kiernan says, can you guys talk a little bit about why it's common for females to experience strength fluctuations throughout the month and how to work through that? I can already tell you it's because of your cycle. Francine, do you notice weight fluctuations throughout the month? Or,
I probably shouldn't comment on that because even though, this is a little personal, but whatever, I'm not exactly on par with that aspect of my life. So it's a kind of, I can't pinpoint, but for the most part, there's definitely going to be some points where you're going to see a difference in strength, whether it be from your cycle or, there are a lot of different things that will contribute to that, like stress levels, other things happening. Like I mentioned, Friday mornings are awesome. My strength gains are awesome in the gym because of that refeed, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of different contributing factors there for sure. Yeah,
there are. Yeah, your cycle is going to be a huge one. You're most women become anemic then. You're not feeling your best. The other issue is you have to look at other things throughout, like you said, other things in your life that could be coincidental. It every, do you have do you go to your families the second Sunday of every month? Well, are you stressed out about it? Do you have this, different meetings, different things like that in your life? But for the most part, for women, it is going to be due to your cycle. It's just going to happen. Scheduling like a powerlifting meet, if it's over if you have your period and during a powerlifting meet can be an issue. I've seen powerlifters who have who have like scheduled meets based on their cycle before. So Donna says, how do hormone levels come into play with dieting, especially after 50 years old, if any? So if you're, I mean, look at Suzanne Mays that I just posted. She's 57 and lost 20 pounds, looking absolutely amazing. So it's completely possible. Hormone levels do come into play. It also depends. Are you postmenopausal, in menopause, what's going on? And are you on hormone? Have you gone on the hormone replacement therapy? That will make the biggest differences. So it does come into play. It is a little bit harder, but everything's still possible. It's still calories, burning more energy, and losing weight. Barney says, I'm cutting, have a long way still. I've stalled with some of my weight progress, and that's driving me crazy. And then it looks like the sentence got, oh, there we go. Here. I'm cutting, have a ways to go. I'm finding though my progression with weights is stalled. My understanding is to focus on keeping muscle while cutting, and when I'm on maintenance, I'll see more gains. My coach keeps telling me I'm not training for a marathon. I think it's a mental thing. Yeah, Brad Morgan here is your coach. It is definitely when you are, let me reread this on, when you're going to keep muscle, your progression is going to stall. Maybe we need to drop down your progression, things like this. These are all things that Brad can work with you on. Depending on how long you've been dieting, and typically you don't see strength loss from dieting until you are very lean. I've only experienced significant, like noticeable strength loss twice when dieting. And that was dieting for competition in 2015 and doing a mini cut that I let get a little bit too lean in 2016 because I kind of went off the hinges after my show. Outside of that, I've never noticed strength loss. Have you noticed any during your cuts with me, Francine? Any strength losses?
Nothing serious. I mean, I know that's one question you always asked when I was dieting, but I mean, nothing that I was hesitant to say even that it was muscle or that it was strength loss because my thing was when I was cutting, I always used to work out fasted. Mm-hmm. And since I stopped doing that, and this is personal preference.
Not with me. Okay.
Well, no, it was, I was working out at 6 a.m. in the morning and I just used to grab something really small. And like now that I have something more significant, well, obviously it's different. Yeah.
Just making sure.
And I didn't say you told me to do it. I said I did it.
Okay. Just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Strength gains. All my clients, even if they're just nutrition clients, I always want to know, how is your strength in the gym when they're dieting? That is going to be my number one sign that the diet needs to stop right now. And we're talking significant. I've had power lifters who have dropped, who haven't told me, oh yeah, by the way, I asked them, hey, what's your total this month? I'm just doing your nutrition. What's your total right now? Just wondering. Well, you're 100 pounds less than your squat in like a month and a half. Why haven't you told me this? Like, your diet needs to end and we need to get your strength back up. So, all right. David says, hi, when bulking, until the scale starts going up, is it better to up the calories like 100 calories weekly or all at once for maintenance? Thank you. I would go, if you're at maintenance right now, you're just maintaining, I'd go up in that 100, maybe take 200 calorie jump. But I'd go up slowly. It is better to gain slower than faster. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. Me and Francine and I have both done that, gain too fast, and it sucks. Yep. Anything to add?
Something else maybe you might want to touch on, Jay, is what happens in the beginning when people up their calories and they don't gain. Why does that happen? Maybe okay. Something. Yeah.
So when you don't gain like that, when you just go into a big surplus, and when you go up to maintenance, up to a surplus, let's say my maintenance is 2,000 calories. All right, I'm going to bulk, so I'm going to jump up to 2,200. I jump up to 2,200 and maintain my weight. I add another 100, and I maintain my weight at 2,300. And now my maintenance is 2,300 calories. But why? Am I eating more and I'm just getting so much bigger that I can hold that? I'm getting more energy. I have more movement. If anybody notices anything I do, I move a lot with my hands. I fidget a lot. I swing my chair, all of that stuff. And that's because my NEAT is high, my non-exercise activity. Non-exercise activity is thermogenesis. But I have more energy to fidget. Instead of taking one trip to bring all the groceries in, I'll make 5 and carry the bag slowly. instead of taking the dog for a walk around the block, the short way around the block, I'll go the long way around the entire neighborhood to burn a little extra calories. I will not load up my hands with 4 plates when I'm leaving the kitchen to the table. I'll make individual trips. And that comes from having more calories. And that's why you do increase like that. So I would definitely say it is best to go slow like that.
So I actually lost the first 2 weeks. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even stay the same. I lost weight the first 2 weeks. It took a while to get into it.
Yep. And that's why also one of the things that I like to put people on diet breaks for. You're on really low calories for 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. You haven't been losing. Let's story up to maintenance. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown people at maintenance for 2 weeks and they've lost 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, guess what? We're not going to diet again. We're going to stay at these because you're still losing. And it does. I've had that happen to numerous people where we've been down at 1,600 calories. Okay, let's take a diet break. We're not really losing. We go up to 2,000. We're there for 2 weeks. By the end of it, they're 4 pounds lighter, and now 2,000 are new dieting calories. Cool. Let's try that. Martiza? Sorry, I'm going to master it. Martiza? I lost 15 pounds, and now I would like to start to build. I'm scared after gain how hard it will be to lose the fat again. To lose 50 pounds took me over a year. So first, I'll tell you did it the first time. You know how to do it the second time. Second, I will tell everybody, and I will attest to I work with a coach. Scene works with me. Don't bulk on your own. It will not end well. Bulking needs more supervision, more accountability, and more discipline than dieting does. So do you have anything to add to that?
I was going to say the same thing. If I didn't have, and I've heard numerous people on the site make comments like this, if they did not have a coach, they would not have, it just would have ended like brutally. If I did not have you telling me, all right, this is what we got to do, this is how much you need to eat, it's okay that you gain this much this week, it's not a big deal. Like my mindset is 150% better than it used to be. Like I'm so different. Like I had this horrible relationship with food and that damn scale. And now it's just like, whatever. Like I know I'm doing what I need to do and I know I'll get to where I got to go.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Your relationship with food is a million. I mean, it's night and day from when you started. When I told you we were going to have you bulk eventually, I thought you were going to come down to Chicago and shoot me. So Heather LeGros says, "Great job, Francine."
That's my second mama, Heather. Hi.
Leslie says, "Do you take creatine? Thoughts on that?" So I have taken creatine. And when I say every day, I'm on vacation, I might not take it, but 5 grams every day since I was about 13. So I've always taken it. Francine, do you take it?
I do as well, yes. Yep, 5 grams a day. And I do take it on vacation. So
sorry.
You could learn from me.
Yeah.
It just looks like a little small bag of cocaine. No big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think that would fly in the U.S. going on airplanes. I used to take the pills with me. I used to have them in my house and then take them with me, but then I'd always forget. And then if I drive somewhere, I take creatine, and I drive a lot, so I take creatine with me then. But if I fly, and sometimes I'll just go to when I get somewhere, I go to a GNC or a vitamin shop or just whatever, and I buy like a small thing of creatine or the pills there. I'll buy a couple bottles of ready-to-drink protein mix and some supplements and stuff. So I have protein powder, so I know I'm getting my protein in. So sometimes I do, but I kind of just got over it, and then I come back and I load. Joey says, "Is there a specific time of the year that one should start a bulk since it's a couple months long? Does starting in spring or fall go better from a mental standpoint? Have you experienced it to be any different when starting different bulks?" So I will start, but you're kind of a unique situation on why we bulk you when we do. And and it makes a good point. So for the typical person, yeah, most people want to be lean for summer and then they bulk over the winter. That's the standard cycle. You start dieting down, depending if you have a spring break, if you're going something for then, or if, you're like, I got to be beach ready for July. You kind of time it around there. But time around your life. It's not a specific time. So Francine, when's your big time that you typically want to be lean for?
Christmas. For the last few years, we've gone away down south. So that's why we started the bulk in September. But ideally, if I was not going on that trip during Christmas or throughout the winter, I would definitely bulk all winter.
Yeah.
And bulk even right into spring and then diet down for a few months for summer.
Yep.
That's typically what people do because it's when you're going to be wearing less clothes, when you're going to want to feel, have good legs and shorts and stuff, and
Yep.
nice arms for your tank tops and whatnot. But that's, it depends on where you live too. I live in shindig nowhere, and the weather, we don't even get summer really. So I don't know, maybe I'll bulk the whole year and then diet down later.
Big Niller, right? That's gonna be a Newfoundland term. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Roma said, should a postmenopausal woman bulk without taking hormone replacement therapy? That is something that is way beyond anything I can answer or will answer. I can tell you there is a book by Lyle McDonald called The Women's Book that I believe does cover it. Let me give me 1 second to get you a link for that, if I can find it. So if you go to bodyrecomposition.com, I'll put that on the screen, so free plug for Lyle here. If you go to, it's not coming up, and I don't know what happened. I think I broke it. I think I broke the whole system, really. I did. I think I broke it with that link. I hope people can still see me. So go to bodyrecomposition.com. It's the Women's Book Volume 1. It's very, very long. Or you could look in the forums. There is mixed reviews on it, but I would definitely talk to a physician about it. But you do not have to be on hormone replacement therapy to start a bulk. Man, I hope that thing's not just stuck up there. Somebody let me know if there's a link stuck up on my screen because it's not showing up on my side. Tracy said, none of my comments are coming up. Damn.
There it is.
Oh, can you see them?
Yep.
Okay, I can't. It won't show up on mine. Perfect.
Oh.
So Tracy said, I have been looking for information regarding macros for a transgender person. I'm asking for a friend, male to female transgender, taking testosterone. Would macros be any different, and would they have any issues with weight loss? They would not. So macros would be the same. Remember, macros aren't gender specific; they're weight specific. They're activity specific. So it's going to matter based on that person. These are an estimate, right? I'm just going to give you numbers. I could tell you right now, go eat 100 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat, and see what happens. And somebody's telling me the link is still there. Let me see if I can get rid of this one. So I could add in anything I want, right? There, I got it. I fixed it. Woo! I could give you any macros I want, and you're going to test them for a couple weeks. And if your goal is to lose weight and you don't lose weight on them, you're going to drop calories. If your goal is to lose weight and you do, you're going to keep them the same. They're just arbitrary numbers. We're just giving you a very close starting point to where we feel you should be. It doesn't matter your gender. The guess is, when I give you an estimate, yeah, I would like to know if they are, it does matter female to male, but with testosterone, it pretty much makes it as a man. But again, it shouldn't matter too much. There's not that much of a difference. It really matters with activity, weight, height. That's what I care about. Perfect. Mel Rojas says, hi, Francine and Jay. Where should a beginner start? I am an ectomorph, small frame, who is dealing with belly fat, skinny fat. What are your recommendations? Calorie deficit, cut, maintenance, and weights. 5'9", 132 pounds. So I can already tell you, stop worrying about that ectomorph stuff. All that stuff has been disproven for a long time. It's all kind of crap. Nobody fits into a Simoto type. It's all garbage. Alex Dedman, who's one of the moderators here, will go on a tangent if he sees this. Maybe he will. I'm hoping he will, and post that. So he will get rid of it for us and clear all that up. So start. What I want you to do is make a separate post in the group with your height, weight, activity level, your goal, and maybe a photo if you have one. If you think you're skinny fat, that's always kind of the thing that determines it, because your skinny fat might not be somebody else's skinny fat, right? It's in the eye of the beholder. So we need to really, really actually see it. So make your own post, Mel. Court says, can you give an example of a cut and or a bulk? Do you keep your protein numbers the same? So what was your example of do you know off the top of your head, Francine, what your cutting calories were when we were getting you down to 145?
I'm thinking somewhere in 1,500 range, I believe.
1,500.
And typically I was eating 120 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
And now it's not that I think we're still at 120, but I always eat more than that. It's just I really enjoy protein and I tend to eat a lot of it. So
Yeah.
chicken breast, egg whites, whatever, I just love it. So I end up some days I'm eating upwards of like 160. I
Yeah.
mean, and not on purpose, it's just the way the calories fall.
Yeah. And we've talked, and now your calories are at like 1,900 with those with that one 3,000 refeed day. So we're averaging at like 2,200, I think is your average.
Yeah.
So the carbs and fats, now just because I talked to Francine so much, she knows what she's doing. We're in a good place. She is consistently at about 150, 160 grams of protein. Her macros are for 120, but she's eating 160. I just haven't adjusted them. Her calories stay the same. She just adjusts all of her other macros on the fly for total calories. So for her, it's just how it is. It's just kind of how.
As long as I'm eating enough protein, that's my concern, and I know I am. So yeah.
Exactly. It's better to eat too much than not enough. You're not going to
Yes.
eat 160 grams of protein. It's not going to be, oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
Now, typically in a bulk, you actually need less protein. Now, that being said, you have to consider things that when I bulk, I up my protein. And people look at me and think I'm crazy. First off, I'm like Francine, I like protein, just meat, all in this area, right? That's what I want. The 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 I want so, but what it really helps me do is get a balanced meal. If I have 300 grams of carbs to eat and I'm only eating 140 grams of protein, 140 grams of protein, I can't have a balanced meal. I'm going to eat all these little runoff bullshit proteins from all those carbs that are going to fill me up, and then I can't have a giant ass steak. Right? I eat a pound of shrimp a day. How am I going to fit a pound of shrimp a day in when I'm at 140 grams of protein? So it's a fine balancing adjustment, but I would just keep your protein. Typically, I keep protein the same, and then adjust carbs and fats for the rest of the calories. Thank you. Let's see. Cindy, I'm 48. A year ago, did a competition, lost 30 pounds. I've had a bad rebound and gained all that back, plus a little, all of that, plus a little back, 40 pounds. What do I do to get back to a decent weight, not skinny, but around 120? Diet. That's what you have to do. So I'd highly recommend working with someone if you're having trouble with that. Francine, I know we've talked. You've dieted for long periods of time before. And you had lost weight previously and gained it back.
Yep. I had lost. I lost 18 pounds at one point, and I gained most of it back. I was actually at my highest. One of those pictures I think was 175. My highest was actually 182.
Okay.
Before that. So yeah, I mean it comes down to a calorie deficit at that point. And again, if you lost the weight, I'm not sure if she lost it following macros or some other way, but if it's something that you feel you need some guidance with, obviously a coach is the way to go because
yeah.
a lot of people it's difficult for a lot of people to adhere to something. It's the accountability that makes a difference,
Yeah.
I know it's crazy because I know you way better than I did then, but I know when I started, I was like, okay, I got to hit those macros for my coach, got to do this. Everything was about Jay, making sure that I did what he told me and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, shut up.
Yeah. But now I'll call you and yell at you. So
Exactly. Now I'm like, yeah, I got this. But it's still, even though I've been doing it this long, I am not at any point going to stop working with Jay because it's just everybody needs a coach. Everybody does. Jay is a coach.
Yeah, I agree that having that somebody there, even I know what to do. I know how to do this. I need somebody to check up on me if I'm having a couple of weeks where I'm not checking in, not following up. Hey, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? And sometimes we can't tell when we're lean enough. Sometimes we can't tell when we've been bulking for too long. You need that view, that person checking in on you really helps.
Yeah.
I'm also on hormones from hysterectomy. Yeah, hormone replacement therapy for women is pretty common at this point. I believe all the data that was published on it before where you shouldn't do it has actually most of it from what I have read. And again, I am not a female hormone replacement therapy expert by any means, barely know the surface of it. Most of the newer studies are saying that hormone replacement therapy for women is the way to go. So I would definitely talk to your physician about it. Jason said, sorry, I'm late. No, we don't like you anymore. Go away. Jason is one of my clients and one of my buddies, so it's okay. Yes, it was. It was. Oh, yes, it's stuck. It was stuck. The text up there, but it's gone now. Cindy, I should specify I'm currently 5'2", 136. I can't remember what Cindy's. Oh, trying to lose. Yeah, I mean, getting down to 120 from 136, 140. I mean, it's completely possible. Again, Cindy, shoot me a message. Let's chat. Doesn't even have to be about coaching. Let's chat about your goals. See where you're at. See what you're doing. See if you're on track. So just shoot me a direct message. Give me a couple hours to get back to you, but I'll get back to you at least with like a, hey, I got your message. Let's schedule a chat tonight. All right. Your sister said, Francine, you look vaguely familiar.
You nut. That's my bestie.
I read that. I'm like, who's saying she looks vaguely familiar? And then it's your sister.
That's our thing. We always say on Facebook, we see a picture and you're like, I know that face from somewhere.
It's the same face. So I found it. Jason put a picture of a piece of steak because I talked about steak, I think.
Yes.
The link is still there. Please read my next post. She said, thanks. And I did. And then Fanny was laughing. Perfect. All right. So we've actually been going for like an hour. So one real quick thing. I don't want to keep you all night, Francine, because you're much later there than it is here. One real quick thing I want to talk about is what really got you. Oh, that was Jason showed that meat. That punk of meat.
Yeah. That's why I was laughing, because you always make that foolish comment.
It's a great comment. One thing I want to touch on that has come up is bulking and not feeling like you're building muscle. Because and it happens with everybody. I just finished bulking for a year, and I'm just now starting to see. I'm starting to cut. I'm just now starting to be like, oh man, I built quite a bit of muscle there. Remember, you are building something. Think of it as like you're building a house, or you're remodeling a house. There's a tarp over it, and you cannot see it at all. And then finally, you're going to start slowly removing that tarp, and then one day you're going to stand back and be like, "Holy shit! This is what I made! Wow, turned out good." Do you have that feeling too, Francine?
Yeah, I always think of it. Actually, it reminded me of last summer. I was working with my sister, kind of like helping her kind of lose weight and stuff, and she'd consistently get on the scale and it wouldn't move. But I could visually see a difference. And I used to tell her, I said, you are in a deficit. You're following your macros. You're losing fat. It may not show it on the scales, but you are. Yeah. And now that I'm bulking, I have the same mentality. I am in a surplus. I'm doing really heavy lifting. I'm pushing myself at the gym. You are going to gain muscle. If you do this right, you're in a surplus, you are going to gain. You may not see it right away, but, I mean, the fact that I busted back out of my jacket kind of helped, too, because I'm like, yeah, I got something going on.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite pictures, too. I wish I would have put that in the slideshow. I didn't even think about it. And one of the things, and that's so true. When I always compare my pictures at my body weight. So I compared my pictures at 175 to 2 years ago, 175. I've never been this heavy before, so I went up to all the way 197, heaviest I've ever been. But comparing my pictures, even me at 197 to me at 179 last year, I looked the same because I had about the same amount of body fat on me. But now that I'm starting to diet down, I can tell, but my measurements were bigger, and it wasn't body fat; it was just more muscle. So I knew I was building some. But now that I'm starting to diet down, I'm still heavier than I've ever been, but I'm getting leaner. I'm starting to see abs, and normally I couldn't see abs until I was at 172, and now I can see them at 183. So I can already tell a difference. So as soon as you start dieting and get some of that fat off, you start to notice a difference. And pictures, take your damn pictures.
I was just going to say something else I'd like to add is sometimes you don't always see what other people see. And this is where a coach comes in handy. You see those pictures that Jay had of me. I mean, nobody else typically sees those pictures, So when I say I'm feeling, when I look at those pictures and I see that according to those pictures, I gained 20 odd pounds, but it doesn't look like I gained 20 pounds, So to have Jay's feedback and say, this is typically basically the leanest that you've been. It's reassuring. So that's where it comes in to have a good coach by your side to kind of keep you on track, and keep your mental state in a good place.
Yeah, no, I agree. And thank you for that. The thing that I like to do is as soon as I hear a client say, I feel like I'm not losing, or if the scale's been stuck, but I can see measurements coming down or visual changes over a couple of weeks, as soon as I hear I'm not losing, this isn't working, I put their first week with their current week, and I say, look at this. And I've had people say, I didn't even realize I was that big before.
Yep.
You don't notice your changes. Yeah, perfect. And the
pictures are number one.
Yep. Yeah, photos are so important. And I've had so many people that I've started with who are like, oh, I've already lost 30 pounds on my own. Now I want to coach. But I really, really wish I would have taken pictures in the beginning because the people avoid cameras. So you just need to make sure that you take your pictures. The last thing I want to talk about before I let you go is not feeling confident in the gym. And Cindy, I just got your message. Thank you very much. Give me a little while. I have some emails to do. I have to eat real quick, and then I'll get back to you tonight, I promise. The last thing I want to talk about is not feeling confident in the gym. Now, I'll go with me first. I was a fireman since I was 18. I was a small guy. I never lifted at the firehouse. I always did it in secret. And then I bought a home gym when I was like 19, working on my apartment, and it was awful. I think I had like 120 pounds max. And then finally, one of the guys knew I was lifting because I was starting to actually look a little bit like I was working out. He grabbed me and showed me actually how to lift when I was 20. But I still was not confident enough to go to a gym by myself until I was probably 23. And I was a fireman. I was a pretty decent sized human being. I still wasn't confident enough. So, Francine, did you ever have issues starting to lift in a gym?
Not too bad because I mean, I typically go at 6 a.m. There's a select few of us, some of the girls that are on there, Jackie and Susan and Stephanie, they all go to the gym at the same time. So it's kind of like they're doing their thing, I'm doing my thing. But confidence wise, I mean, obviously I'm more confident because I have a lot more strength.
Mm-hmm.
But when you know that when I dieted down, I had people coming to me all the time saying, "Wow, like you've lost a lot of weight. How did you do it?" So I explained the process, and then you're a little bit self-conscious when you start gaining weight because you're thinking, are they thinking that I lost track of what I'm doing? Do they think that I, dieted and lost the weight and now I'm back on, fell off the wagon and now I'm gaining it back? Or, not everybody knows that it's an intentional process, and it has a purpose. So
Yeah.
maybe in that sense, but in terms of the gym now, like I feel pretty confident because I'm happy with where I am in terms of my training and having the purpose now with powerlifting. I feel like I'm the strongest I've ever been in my whole life. So,
Strong as hell.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're wicked strong. I have the thing that I see a lot is women saying, I'm afraid to go into the free weight section. I'm afraid of this. I can tell you in all of the years I have been lifting, and I mean, I've been brave enough to be there by myself. I always lifted with people. So from the time I was actually lifting in the gym with somebody until I was like 23, I always made sure I had a lifting partner. I was too afraid to go by myself. I had to have somebody with there to talk to me because what if people stare at me? And now, I go into the gym by myself all the time. I have a gym in my basement. I still go to different gyms various days of the week just to lift. The biggest guys in the gym, the ones you're afraid of, they don't pay attention to you. I do not pay attention to anybody. I'm not the biggest guy in the gym. I'm not saying that. But I'm an experienced lifter. I do not pay attention to one human being in the gym. I'm not going to correct your form. I'm not going to make comments on you. The people that I actually admire the most are the ones who are trying.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I ever saw somebody make a comment about somebody in a gym about, oh, look at that guy, I would go off on them. And I can tell you the majority of the biggest guys in the gym would do the exact same thing. I could never imagine somebody saying something negative at a gym. And if they do, just find the biggest guy and be like, he was a jerk, and they'll beat him up for you. Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys. Jason just posted an emoji of eyes, me watching Jay at the gym. That's creepy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's it. Francine, do you have anything to add?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I am super happy that we worked out these technical difficulties.
Literally 30 seconds before we went on camera. May I add?
Literally 30 seconds before.
I was actually mad at you. You heard it.
Oh yeah, you were. I don't know why you were mad at me, but you were.
So why did you wait so long to figure this out?
We tested it. It's not my fault. You didn't tell me you couldn't hear me.
I guess.
So all right, I am glad we got this figured out. I'm glad we were able to do this. Rebecca says, I greatly appreciate touching on that. Never be afraid to go in the weight room. Nobody cares you're there. Nobody. No. The only thing I will tell you, when you are using the dumbbells, and this goes for men because we're all the ones who are guilty of it. When you grab your dumbbells, do not curl in front of the damn dumbbell rack. Take a big-ass step back and go all the way back to the very back of the room so that when I have 80s, I can put them back very easily, all right? That's what you need to do. So Jason sent heart eyes, said thanks, always much appreciated. Jackie Rolfe said, awesome, great job.
See you in the morning. See you in the morning, Jackie.
Renee Kieran said thanks, you guys. Cheryl said thanks. So thank you, guys. We are out of here.
Thank you. Coach, thanks for watching.
Franya said, you're my hero, sis, not you, Jen.
I think we've established that.
The fact that you're her hero, the fact that I'm not.
That you're not.
Oh, okay. So if you have coaching, macrosinc.net/services, shoot me a PM, post in the group if you need anything. If you're on YouTube, join the damn group already. You should be in here. All right. All right, guys, that is it. Have a great night.
Bye.